Do you ever have that problem where it seems like your yarn stash is just going to fall on top of you? Hey guys, Sarah here from the Yarn Lab and welcome to Knitting for Twins week 20, my weekly knitting and pregnancy vlog. So first of all, I wanted to apologize for uploading this a day late. I am trying to upload every Monday, but with Valentine's Day and then yesterday was Family Day, the long weekend, kind of pushed things back a little bit, especially since I typically upload from campus and not from home. So next week we'll definitely be back on Monday. So first of all, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the name of the weekly vlog. So we're going with Knitting for Twins, and you can see that the hashtag here, if you want to follow along on social media with the podcast, you can use the Knitting for Twins hashtag, and you'll be able to follow along as I update some things to Twitter and Instagram during the week, in case you really just can't wait until next Monday for another hint of what's been going on as I prepare to welcome my twins in June. So first up, how are the babies growing? If you've been following along and watched last week's episode, and I'll link to it right here, then you know that I'm expecting identical twin boys in early June, and I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the Due in June group on Ravelry. I've been hanging out and chatting with some of the lovely women over on that group. There's even another 2 moms who are expecting twins in June, so that's really exciting. So if you are expecting babies in June, check out that group. But if you are expecting babies in general, there typically are due in every month groups that sort of spring up on Ravelry, so you can find camaraderie with other knitters and crocheters who are expecting babies. So just a quick shout out to everybody over on the Due in June group. So I am 20 weeks now and I'm up 20 pounds since pre-pregnancy weight, so it's pretty on track for I guess pregnant with twins. The bump is starting to grow and I've found a couple of maternity shirts that actually fit really nicely now, so that's great. And the boys have been, in the last week, kicking a lot more than usual, especially baby A's down lower, which is really exciting to feel them kicking all the time. We are still in the brainstorming stage for boys' names, but we seem to be more interested in traditional names rather than some of the newer, funkier names. I have to admit though, I am getting a little bit of baby name related anxiety, trying to come up with names that Kevin and I both really like, that sound good together, that work as twins names without being like, you know, really linked or matching too much. The only other time I've ever had to name something was when my mom was pregnant with my little brother, and I think they knew they were having a boy, but I wanted a little sister, and I was fixated, you know, as a 3-year-old would be, on the name Cindy. So I later got to name a pet budgie Cindy. So this is a little bit more high stakes than just naming a pet budgie. So it's a little bit anxious making, coming up with names for baby boys. But one thing that I certainly don't have any worries about has been the knitting for the boys. So let's go ahead and get right into that. So first off, for finished projects, I showed you guys this last week, but last time I showed it to you, it was a very different color. So I did successfully over dye my In a Pear Tree baby cardigan. The pattern is free on Ravelry. It's by Barbarian Horde. The link will be in the description. And if you're interested at all in seeing the dyeing process for over dyeing this sweater, you can watch this video that'll be linked right up here. Second off, I finished 2 pairs of baby leggings. The yarn is by Rain City Knits. She's based out of Vancouver. She's a really great indie dyer, and it's on the High Twist DK Merino base. The colors are bright aqua and heather gray. I've got 1 pair finished up here that are just done in a really cute striping pattern. And I have a 2nd pair here that were done in a slip-stitched Greek scroll type of pattern. Because of the stranded color work in this pair, they really were in need of a good blocking, so I've got them pinned out on my blocking mat and drying up, and then I'll weave in the ends and those will be all the way finished. I think that the 2 pairs look really great together, and I actually have quite a bit of leftover yarn, and I'll get to the use that I'm going to put this yarn to a little bit later. So I have one last finished project, and it's not for the babies, it's just for my own sake. I haven't been doing a ton of spinning lately, and this week I really had the itch to spin something on my wheel. And itch is the key word because the yarn came out super itchy and scratchy. So I've got a skein of about 100 grams of this black Welsh mountain sheep fiber, and it's shot through with some colored merino bits. So I've got this skein here, and then I have a second mini skein, and I'll open that up so it looks a little bit less like a turd. A second mini skein of the same fiber without the colors, and spun and prepped in a different method. So, not a huge fan of the way this yarn turned out. Tried two different methods to try and get the yarn into a bit of a smoother and less kempy state, and neither method really satisfied me overall. That's all I'm going to say about it now, because I am going to go ahead and upload a video dedicated specifically to spinning this black Welsh fiber later this week, and when I do, it'll be linked in right here. So tune in later in the week if you're interested at all in spinning some of what is a coarser wool. Looks beautiful, it's just definitely nothing that you would want anywhere close to your skin because it's super itchy and scratchy. So now let's get on to some works in progress. Earlier this week I went by Michael's and they were clearing out their loops and thread Mirage yarn, and so I think this is something that's happening across Michael's and not just at that one particular store. But the yarn is a really soft acrylic single that is spun thick and thin, so it's got some good texture to it. It's got really lovely sheen, and they were clearing it out for $1.49 for a 100-gram skein, which is about 150 meters long of yarn in each skein. So it was just a really great price, and because it was super soft and felt great on your skin and looked kind of nice too, I thought I would grab enough to do a quick sweater project for myself. So the sweater was inspired by seeing the Lions brand yarn fashion show. Not particularly this year's fashion show, but if you go back to last year's fashion show, the entire season's line was based on the idea that you could knit simple shapes like squares and rectangles and put them together with a little bit of finishing and produce some really great garments. So I was looking for a cardigan or a sweater that would be basically a large rectangle in the back, two rectangles down the front, and then just cast on, and then just pick up and do a ribbing on the sleeves. So the pattern that I picked out for this is another free one. You can see it right here. It is the Draped Jacket by Bergère de France, I guess, and the description and the information is in the description below. So check out the pattern. It's the one that I've been going with. It's calling for some of their own specialty yarns, but I think since I was able to get gauge pretty much exact with the worsted weight Mirage yarn, it should work out great. So I cast on right away and knit the sweater back. It took me a little over 3 skeins of yarn for the back of the sweater. So I think that my 7 skeins total should be sufficient for the full pattern, which puts me at like maybe $11 for a whole sweater. So if this turns out, it'll be a really great inexpensive project for me. It's basically just stockinette stitching with a tiny bit of shaping at the top, otherwise it's a straightforward rectangle. And I went ahead and steam blocked it with my iron just because the edges wanted to roll in a little bit, which I find that acrylic tends to want to do, especially when it's knit stockinette style. So the back's all done. Hopefully within the next week I'll have finished up the 2 fronts and I can start seaming it together. So for the next work in progress, because I do have quite a bit of the leftover Rain City Knits DK, so I've got about the same amount in each color, I thought I would do a set of baby hats for the boys when they're born. So the pattern that I'm using here is the basic baby hat, and you can see it right here, and it's by In the Making. It's free as a Ravelry download, and it's really just a straightforward stockinette stitch baby hat. I'm going to do one up all in gray and put a blue pom-pom on it, do a second one up all in blue and put a gray pom-pom on it, and should be able to finish off the first one within a day and the second one tomorrow. So I'll have those finished for sure by next week. So that's it for works in progress. Now on to what's up next. So this is the other skein of the yarn that I used to knit the In a Pear Tree cardigan. And because the over-dyeing works so well, I am going to go ahead and knit up this second skein into a second pear tree cardigan, and then go ahead and over-dye it as well. but aim for a lighter blue this time. So I'll have 2 matching cardigans in slightly different shades, and it'll have just been a kind of really fun dyeing experiment to do both of them that way. Especially because the cardigan Knit Up Fast was able to put it all together in under a week, so maybe I will have some progress on this for you guys next week. So as for my stash of blue yarn that I showed you at the very beginning of this video, you can see that I have it in this sort of tiered basket tree that I picked up from IKEA. And I've had it for about 8 months and absolutely loved it. I thought it was a great, cute way to keep my stash in the living room for the projects that I'm currently working on, until it fell on me earlier today. Because it turns out that the base was actually rather shoddily welded to the stand itself with just 3 teensy tiny little welding points. And those gave way and dumped, you know, probably 50 pounds of yarn on me. Maybe not 50, but it's not an insignificant amount of yarn. So as much as I really love the theory of this yarn tree and the look of this yarn tree, I'm just not going to be able to recommend it anymore. So good work, IKEA. In the meantime, I'm gonna have to find a new home for my blue stash of yarn. So that's all I've got for now. Thanks for watching through to the end. If you like this vlog, please subscribe. I'll be uploading a new episode every Monday as I knit my way towards welcoming my boys in June. If you've missed any of the past episodes, you can click right here to go to the full playlist for the Knitting for Twins vlog and follow along right from the beginning. In the meantime, don't forget you can also follow along by following the hashtag Knitting for Twins on social media. You'll find me as Yarn Lab Canada on Twitter and Instagram, or you can come over to Ravelry and say hello. You can find me there as Turner Classic. That's all for now, and happy knitting!